Now, it is Children's Mental Health Week, with this year's campaign highlighting the need to be healthy inside and out. In just a moment, I'm going to be talking to Calum about how life with his famous dad taught him to prioritise his mental well-being. First, though, we actually sent him back to school to share his experiences.
I've come to a secondary school in London to see some of the pressures teenagers are facing today and hopefully share some of my tips on dealing with stress and anxiety.
My dad, sadly, was a drinker. He was an alcohol dependent. When I was a young kid, the things that happened weren't nice, and I didn't know how to get that out, and it ate away at me. And I was very much taught you battle these demons that you have by yourself with no help from anybody else. And what I've learned, hand on heart, is if you keep these things inside, you will never find a way to heal, or you would never find a way to get better.
With also like this constant pressure that you have to be pretty and you have to be confident, it's so hard to not go down that road of looking at a post and then thinking that that's you and thinking that you're like worthless.
If you wear like certain clothes or hang with certain people or even like listen to certain music, you're considered weird.
It's been so inspiring to hear the kids open up. So I challenge them to share their messages with the school to help inspire others. So you ready to do it?
Yeah.
All right, let's go.
My message would be to be more compassionate to each other and be friendly to one another.
My message is that there's no rule book for how to live your life, and you should live the life the way you want to do it and the way that makes you happy.
To never feel like it's not all right to ask for help, because I think everyone should deserve to never feel insecure about themselves.
You need to think about people who are suffering in silence and think about how you might be making it worse and how you could make it better.
Round of applause for everybody here. Thank you, everybody, from me to you. I appreciate it. Thank you from me to you. It's been an honor. I hope you guys have a lovely day.
Well, Calum is with me now. That was remarkable. The way that you really connected with those kids, you made it OK for them to really open up.
Yeah.
I mean, they were talking for the first time about things that were so important to them.
Yeah, I gotta say, I applaud each and every one of them. It takes a lot of courage to be able to stand up and speak out. And I know a lot of them were struggling in school, and so it was an honor for me to go there that day and listen to some troubles they were having and hopefully maybe give some advice on it. And to come into the beginning of the day and kind of maybe some lack some confidence. And by the end of the day, throughout a whole day of talking about their insecurities or their anxieties and hopefully advising them the best I could at the end, to stand up there and speak in front of an audience, I think was brilliant.
They wouldn't have been able to do that at the start of the day.
Well, it was a lot of...
That's the thing.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a big deal to do that.
And I could feel it in a lot of them. And I think just that support factor and letting them know, and that is part of this whole message, letting them know that they're not alone and that if they speak out and they speak up, it can really, really help them if they are struggling with different problems in school or at home.
I think attitudes have definitely changed, haven't they, Calum? I mean, it used to be that children would never articulate these things. They never would be able to say them. You know, they would hide away. And also it's different now because you've got social media, which can be a very positive thing.
Yeah.
But as we saw there, it can be very negative as well.
Well, that's why my partnership with NSPCC is so important, is that for many reasons, but a few that really stick out to me is the fact that there's a place for children to reach out to somebody, to find help, and to stay miscellaneous if they want, but that there's an avenue to reach out and say, this is the problems I'm dealing with. Do you guys have any answers or any help for me? Right. And another tool that I went to them and I explained to them was the journaling. I realized in a personal experience, I realized that once I started getting these things out, and some people aren't able to speak about them. You know, it's not very easy to open up. I preach it a lot, but I struggle with it as well. So if I start to journal and write these things down, morning gratitude, evening wins, goals for the day, and I taught them, I showed them a way to do it with something that I created, a journal as well. And hopefully it helps in any way it can.
I think people are getting over the fact you still get a certain section of people who say, oh, for goodness sake, it's all hippy-dippy, you know, mindfulness, and there's this like sneering tone there.
Yeah.
I'm hoping that we're getting over that, and we're actually now in a place where it's all right. You can do, you know, it's okay. And because that puts people off.
Yeah.
You know, when somebody says to you, man up.
Yeah.
It's the worst possible thing they could say.
And I'm happy, yeah, you're absolutely right. And I'm happy to try to take the lead and say, I'm a man, and I don't want to have to man up. I want to let people know that they can open up and talk about it. And I use personal experiences of struggling and not knowing, you know, what I look at it like this. If you're a kid and you're not taught or helped to know that if you speak up and open up about these things, in your later years in life, it's going to affect you. You're going to have all these issues built up from when you were a teenager or even younger than that I dealt with myself. So if we start just coming in now and letting young kids and even adults know that it's okay to to want to better themselves, to want to heal, and to take care of their insides. And of course, there's still going to be people going, deal with it, deal with it. That's very much an old school mentality.
Very much so.
Very much, my generations before me very much did the same thing. I was taught that as well.
Yep.
But the way I healed myself was opening up, journaling, talking about these things, and I want to pass this on. It's never felt as right as it does now, trying to pass on that message.
Because at one point you didn't think you'd make 30.
That's
you
right.
really didn't.
No.
Because there wasn't the same amount of acceptance and help when you were growing up as there is now.
I mean, luckily I had a great mom,
Yes,
you
very
know,
important,
but
very
I kept so many things bottled up, and I reached out to the wrong places at the wrong time to help cope with what I was dealing with. And I got to a point where I think I was 27. I remember sitting with my mom and telling her I didn't think I'd make it, you know? So I look back now at 37 years old, and, you know, I've been on this show with you a good many, many years, and nothing makes more sense to me now than this kind of path of trying to help and inspire others. And, you know, I always go, I'm not a guru, but when I think about it, I've been through the fire and back. And so if I can reach out, go to these kids, or even go to adults and say, it's okay, there's tools, there's ways, there's help, NSPCC is a great one, so I'm happy to do it.
No, it's good. It's really good, because the thing about it is nobody can say you don't understand, because you really do understand. Because whatever they've gone through, so have you. And that's a wonderful thing to be able to say, and also to be able to say, and I'm here, and I'm still standing. And actually, it seems that you are in a really good place.
Yeah, no, and I have been for many years. It was, you know, life is a journey for everybody, right? And I've been under the public eye for quite so many years, but you know, once you start figuring out ways to deal with and cope with, and that's the message here. The message is to reach out to these kids and adults, but to find a kid to the school and find kids that are struggling and saying, here's a few tools, here's some help. Mindfulness is this. Mindfulness isn't this big thing that needs to be taught. It's just being mindful. It's thoughtful of yourself and your insides and other people. And if I can help spread that message, then I'm happy to do it.
It's just maybe taking 5 minutes out of the crazy and you're putting your phone away for a minute and looking up. Sometimes
phone goes into social.
Out.
Yeah, exactly. it is about reaching out and finding help, and phone is a great one. And social media is a great tool in many ways. Instagram, for example, is a great way to do business and share the good stuff. But a lot of the kids I met at the school, the young people, were saying that is something that makes them struggle and puts a lot of pressure on them. So I know we can talk about it and nothing's really done in the big picture, but I think the more that's talked about it, the more that's addressed, the more little things will happen to build up to hopefully reach a point where kids won't feel the pressure, the bullying, or the grief that they get from social media.
More power to you.
Thank you, Mum.
More power to you, Calum Best. Are you still single, I have to ask?
I am indeed.
Oh, for goodness sake, women of Britain, what's going on?
37 years later.
Behave!
Oh,
That's
well.
ridiculous.
Oh, bless you.
You will find the right woman, and it will be the right woman, not one of these attention seekers that we don't want to be bothered with.
Right.
You will.
Thank you.
She's out there. She's out there.
I love that.
For sure.
You have faith, so do I.
Absolutely. Do you know what? It's when you're least expecting it, young man.
I like
it
that.
will happen.